Greetings gamers, it is your boy MtG here, back with another Magic video, and today I'm going to be playing the Ferocious Flash Challenger deck for 2020. These decks were just announced recently and they will be released for purchase on April 3rd of 2020, so get ready for those. And if you are interested in purchasing those, I'm going to be doing videos for all of these on my channel, so be sure to check those out. There's a playlist, there should be links to the other videos in the description or in cards on this video, whatever. If you want to see more from me, also do subscribe. So now let's get into this deck. Now, I'm very excited about this deck because around the time of Throne of Eldraine, so Mythic Championship 7, I don't know if you guys pay attention to the pro circuit for MTG Arena or Magic the Gathering, whatever. I do occasionally, and I remember Simic Flash won Mythic Championship 7. It was a big deal. There were a lot of Mythic, or a lot of Simic Flash decks in that tournament. And so this is building on that archetype, right? So we've got some very, very important cards in here for the deck. The obvious ones are Frilled Mystic, which is a creature that counters spell. So it's a 2 green and 2 blue, 3/2 creature with flash. So that means if you're not familiar with flash, you can cast it at any time. It's at instant speed, essentially. And when it enters the battlefield, you may counter target spell. So this is really important for our deck. And this Challenger deck comes with 4 of them, so that's great. Also 4 Nightpack Ambusher, which is huge for this deck, right? So not only do other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1, it says at the beginning of your end step, if you did not cast a spell this turn, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. So for the most part, we're going to be casting spells on our opponent's turn, so that a lot of the time we will be getting this trigger, and so we'll be creating wolf creature tokens, which gives us a lot of like long game power, right? So if we're playing counter spells and controlling the board, we're passively gaining creatures through Nightpack Ambusher's ability. Very, very nice card for this deck, and again, we have a playset of that. So down at this lower end, we've got 4 Spectral Sailor, which is a nice 1/1 with flash, flying, and it has an ability we can draw a card, which actually may seem expensive. 4 mana to draw a card seems a touch expensive, but really on an ability with, if you don't even have to tap the creature or anything, this is very, very good. Spectral Sailor is great. It's really wonderful in this deck, because especially because we get a lot of triggers with it off of other things like Brineborne Cutthroat, which is a 2/1 for 2 mana with flash, and whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborne Cutthroat. Really nice way to play this. Like, you can play this early, and then it becomes very, very powerful very quickly. Same kind of thing with Wildborn Preserver. This is another 2. It's a 2/2 with flash, and it also has reach, so that does help us sometimes against things with flying. And it says whenever another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, you put X 1/1 counters on Wildborn Preserver. So this doesn't so you have to put mana into this. This doesn't trigger passively like Brineborne Cutthroat does, but we do have the ability, if we have a lot of mana at our disposal in the mid to late game, we can make this really big really quickly. Similar idea here. These are both payoffs for playing a flash deck, and we like that. Speaking of payoffs, or I guess things we want to play in flash decks are a lot of counter spells. We have a fair amount. Obviously, we already talked about Frilled Mystic, but we also have 4 Quench, which is pretty solid. It's only really super helpful at the beginning of the game. Like if you're worried about your opponent playing something really powerful on turn 2, 3, or 4, this is pretty nice. It also is great if your opponent plays a deck that really wants to curve out over the course of the first 5 turns. You have this ability to counter those spells, and they usually can't pay the 2 mana if they're curving out nicely. So other counter spells, we already talked about this one. I said that already. Sinister Sabotage is just kind of a staple in control decks. Really, really solid. You counter target spell for 3 mana, and you get to Surveil 1, which is actually a pretty nice upside off of this. And then other things that are kind of thrown in here, we've got 4 Ops. Obviously, these are good, very solid for triggering Brineborne Cutthroat, and just making sure we have the cards in our hand that we need. It helps us filter through cards, get counter spells when we need them, get creatures when we need them, etc. We have 2 Unsummons, which can be surprisingly useful when we're either trying to slow our opponent down to make sure we get counter spells, or we're needing to just clear the board, clear the way for a big Brineborne Cutthroat or Wildborn Preserver to attack, and they have creatures on the field that we can't get through. So Unsummon can actually be quite good, especially if you're going up against things that are running enchantments on their creatures. You can just bounce the creature, all the enchantments go to the graveyard. That's actually a pretty nice ability, especially in the meta now that Theros Beyond Death is out here. Speaking of Theros Beyond Death, we have 3 Theros cards in the main board here, which I'm pretty excited about. I haven't played with these before. So we've got one Wave Break Hippocamp, and it is a 3 mana 2/2, and it says whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. So you'll notice that this creature itself does not have flash, which can be an issue for sure. I think most flash decks probably don't want to get bogged down with playing a bunch of Wave Break Hippocamps, but it can be a nice little upside to continue, like, keep the gas flowing, so to speak. If you're able to counterspell, slot this in, and then still have mana up on your opponent's next turn, this is really, really nice. And then we have Thassa's Intervention, which is another possible counterspell. It says counter target spell unless its controller pays twice X. And so you pay 2 mana and an X amount, so it's pretty good. And it's better, it's significantly better than just what's it called? A 1 mana X spell where it's like counter target spell unless its controller pays X. This pays twice X, so it's actually very, very useful in most scenarios in the game. It also has the other option to, instead of countering a spell, you can look at the top X cards of your library, put up to 2 of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So you're essentially, at bare minimum, right, if you only pay 2X, you're drawing 2 cards for 4 mana, which isn't bad at instant speed. Like, that's kind of decent. And the ability to also have a counterspell out of this card, if you need it, is really useful. I like the utility, the versatility of this card. It's very nice. Goes nicely with this deck. And then, other than that, we have one Brazen Borrower, which is just great. A really powerful card from Throne of Eldraine. And normally, decks that want to be really good if they're playing Flash are going to have, like, probably 2 or 3 of these. But this one is only playing 1, which is fine because it is Mythic Rare. That makes sense. It makes sense, yeah. And then we have the out of the box, this comes with 2 Temple of Mysteries and 1 Fabled Passage. No Shocklands, which is a little bit annoying. We have to resort to playing 2 Thornwood Falls. 3 Thornwood Falls, I guess. That's... whatever. 3 Thornwood Falls, it put 2 M20s and a Throne of Eldraine in mine. And then 2 Castle Vantress, which is another rare land, but it does not provide dual mana. So this is a little bit annoying that we don't have a Shockland in here, but one Fabled Passage is kind of nice, and then having 2 Temple of Mysteries is pretty good. I will be playing this in Best of 1 today, but I'm going to briefly look at the sideboard and just kind of walk through it. Aether Gust is good against decks that play uncounterable spells like Niv Mizzet or Chandra Awakened Inferno, or things that are, I guess, also Shifting Ceratops too. Things that play that, so like Gruul, this is especially good against. Speaking of Shifting Ceratops, we're playing 3 Shifting Ceratops in the sideboard, which is great against the mirror matchup, right? So anything that wants to counter us, like Azorius Control, Simic Flash, Shifting Ceratops, we board in against them. And then Mystical Dispute is also pretty decent against the mirror matchup. So again, things that want to counter us or play like cheap blue spells early in the game, Mystical Dispute is nice against that. And then Threnody Singer is a new card from Theros Beyond Death. I'm not high on this card. I don't love it, and really, I see the only benefit to playing this card is if your opponent's playing a lot of flyers, because this is flying and it does give a creature -X/-0, where X is your devotion to blue. So it can be nice to flash it in, kind of disable an opponent's creature and block it if it's flying in, something like that. I don't really see this card being specifically any better than most of the cards out here. But it does help us with flyers, I suppose, so that's something. And then we have 2 Disdainful Strokes and 2 Negates, and this really depends on what you're matched up against. Like, if you're playing against a deck like Jeskai Fires or something that has a lot of really expensive spells, Disdainful Stroke is really good against them. And the same with Negate, honestly. Things that are playing big setup spells and Planeswalkers and stuff like that, Negate is good against them. So let's go ahead and get into some gameplay. We're going to go into ranked. We're not like ranked super high. I think I'm in silver still. I haven't been playing a whole lot of ranked because I've been testing out some decks recently. So we're ranked pretty low, but I want to take it into a slightly more competitive play scene than in the regular play queue. So, no smirk. Here we go. Okay. This starting hand has only 2 lands in it, but it does have a pretty decent amount of early plays. I'm kind of on board with it just because we get a Spectral Sailor on turn 1, and then we have a Quench on turn 2 and 3, even if we don't draw into another land, and then we have Wildborn Preserver to slot in after that. I think in like one of my last videos, I kept a lot of 2-land hands, and it really ended up biting me in the butt, so I'm hoping that this is not the case. So we'll go ahead and play an island and just pass the turn, see what they've got before we play Spectral Sailor. Okay, Mountain, so presumably mono red. Okay, Fervent Champion, which is something we can't really block because it has First Strike and Haste. So we'll let the damage go through, and then we'll play Spectral Sailor. That's fine. And then pass to our turn. Okay, that's not great. We really needed a land there, but we're going to pass anyway. I think I actually attack. There's not really any reason to hold him to hold him as a blocker because I'm not going to block Fervent Champion, and the only thing I can see them playing that is going to have haste is Robber of the Rich, which I wouldn't block with Spectral Sailor anyway, and I'm just going to quench that because that actually gives them a lot of gas. So we're going to quench that and then take the 1 damage from Fervent Champion. So fingers crossed we draw a land because I would really, really like to be able to play Opt and like a quench next turn. And the problem becomes, so we could opt on our turn to try to get our 3rd land. Opponent, what are you? Hello? Hello, sir? On our turn, we could opt to try to get our 3rd land and then just count on it being a blue mana source for quench. Or if we got a green mana source, we could flash in Wildborn Preserver as a blocker, which isn't the worst idea in the world. In fact, I'm thinking, so we could have let Robber of the Rich hit the board, so this is actually pretty solid. We could have let Robber of the Rich hit the board and flashed in Wildborn Preserver to block the Fervent Champion because we knew they didn't have mana up. That isn't a play we could have done, maybe should have done, but so we'll go ahead and end turn. I'm thinking this is probably going to be a turn where we're going to want to quench and opt. But let's see what they do here. I want to see what they play first. Okay. Mountain. I'm kind of expecting a Chandra, maybe. Chandra seems kind of like... Okay, Satyr's Cunning. Fine with that. Satyr's Cunning is not particularly... doesn't do a whole lot to us. Robber of the Rich. Okay. Believe it or not... Dang. Okay. You know what? I'm going to quench that. We'll quench it. They get the card advantage if I let that hit the board and attack, though I would love to flash in Wildborn Preserver and block Fervent Champion here. We go to damage, and then we'll go ahead and opt here. Brineborne Cutthroat is fine, but doesn't really help us because we need to get a green mana source for Frilled Mystic. And we get a Brineborne Cutthroat anyway, and an Unsummon. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on attacking, pinging them down a little bit here, and then end the turn. Brineborne Cutthroat's a good flash play. And gives us the option to, this turn gives us the option to unsummon the Satyr. Or potentially to, okay, Cavalcade of Calamity. We'll resolve that. Okay, if I pass 2 attackers, I take a bunch of damage, but I could also... You know what? I'm going to go ahead and flash in Brineborne Cutthroat now. Unsummon the Satyr. And so now they'd be foolish to attack. Let's just say that. They'd be foolish to attack, and they don't. Okay, great. That's good for us, and I'm actually... I'm just going to attack with Spectral Sailor and hold up Brineborne Cutthroat as a blocker. Right now, when we set up the board, is probably the time where we want to be just playing it a little bit safe until we can take over the game. The problem is, though, that they're starting to kind of get a little scary here, and I don't have a counterspell up for if they have a Chandra Acolyte of Flame. Yeah, that's the one. That's the Chandra I'm thinking of. There's Chandra Acolyte of Flame. So I'm going to resolve that.
Anyone need a fire started? No? Too bad.
Resolve that. Pass 2 attackers. Not really anything I can do about this. They attack, and we take 3 damage this turn, which isn't the end of the world. And I'm just going to draw. So pass 2 blockers. I'll block one of them. And then I'm just going to draw with Spectral Sailor here. Try to... Okay. Oh my lordy, why are you doing this to me, game? They really don't want me to succeed right now. Let's think about this. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to full-on attack Chandra. Try to take her out. My guess is they probably block Brineborne Cutthroat with Fervent Champion, or they just take the hit on Chandra and she dies. But I'm guessing keeping her alive is their priority. That's fine. But at least we put the pressure on him. We took a creature away. Let's put down the land, and I'm going to hold up Wildborn Preserver as a blocker because I'm a little worried now about what they might be able to play this turn. Another Fervent Champion. Okay. Another Fervent Champion. That's bad. That's actually quite bad. They get a bunch of damage on me now. Didn't see this double Fervent Champion play coming. So I'm starting to regret what I did. I'm starting to regret what I did, you know? So we'll pass two attackers now, see what they do. They attack all, which makes sense, and I take a crap load of damage. I could flash in Wildborn Preserver and block one of these. I can't block a Fervent Champion because they're going to buff each other. So what do I take? 4, 6, 8, 10 damage? Yikes. That's so much. Dang, dude. I think I just have to take the damage and draw because this doesn't really help me much. Wildborn Preserver barely does anything for me. I'm trying to think of what it really does do. No, I can already kill Chandra. I think I just pass the damage. I go to 4. And then I draw another card. We've got to get... Not another... Oh my lord. Not another blue mana source is what we wanted. So I'm going to attack, kill Chandra, hold Spectral Sailor as a blocker. The biggest issue here is... you know, if they just have a Chandra in their hand, I die. You know, because they can just play it, create 2 tokens, and then I lose because of Cavalcade of Calamity, because we took too much damage last turn. And I don't have a counterspell. I can't play Frilled Mystic because we've only drawn like blue mana sources in the second half of the game. So if that happens, if they play a Chandra, the only chance I have... No, that doesn't even... No, I still lose the game. I lose the game, I think, no matter what here. Torbran. I lose... yeah, I'm dead. So let's draw a card anyway. Yeah, we get Thornwood Falls. That's great. Okay, I'm dead now. That's a shame. It's not that sad losing to Mono Red Aggro. When we didn't, you know, we only got 1 green mana source. We struggled pretty bad with that. So yeah, we'll just take the damage and die. That's fine. Okay, fair enough. We drew a Thornwood Falls at the end of the game, which would have been really nice, like, anywhere slightly earlier on. We would have had a counterspell. We would have been able to play our Frilled Mystics, which was kind of what we really needed there. But also, the 1 life gain from Thornwood Falls is actually somewhat relevant against the aggro matchup. So, that would have been nice too, I guess. Okay, here's the deal with this. I think I keep it, right? I keep this, because we can go Fabled Passage turn 1 to get us a green mana source, unless we draw one. All Side of Life's Bounty. Okay, so let's go ahead and Fabled Passage for... we'll sack it for a forest. That's the word I'm looking for. Season of Growth. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be Selesnya Auras. Yeah, we go forest here. We got to be a little careful... next turn. So let's go Island and then pass. So we can hold Quench if they play something I really don't like. So they got 3 mana. What you gonna do? If they play Setessan Champion or something, I kind of have to counter that. Season of Growth. You know what? I think I let that happen. I think we resolved that. They are gonna draw a bunch of cards when they do this, which is fine. It's not good. It's not good at all. Because they just restocked their hand. And I can't do anything about that because I can't uncast the spell. So they get that trigger. The question is, do I quench it or do I maybe flash in Wildborn Preserver to block? Yeah, I'm going to let them attack, actually, and probably block. Let's pass 2 attackers. So I lose this exchange, like, pretty badly, but it's kind of okay. Okay, let's go ahead and play Wavebreak Hippocamp now, just to kind of set this up for my counterspells. And please, game, please give me one more green mana sword so I can play Frilled Mystic. So this turn might be bad if they have some powerful play here, which they don't really, which is nice. They get to scry and then probably going to play an Aura on Transcendent Envoy. Well, I don't have a counterspell up. The good news is that our unsummons are very good against this deck, just because we can bounce stuff that has like a bunch of enchantments on it. The bad news is that is really strong. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's pass. They can't do Sentinel's Eyes. They can do Cetessan Champion, which I need to counter that because it's just too strong, so I need to counter it. I think I can't quench it because they can pay the mana, so I think I go Sinister Sabotage. I draw a card. Unsummon is great for Transcendent Envoy because it bounces. Do we want that on top? I think I keep Nightpack Ambush on top for now. Oh, that's not great. Okay. So outside of Life's Bounty can protect Transcendent Envoy if they keep 1 mana up, which is what they're doing. And now I'm at 13. Okay. I'll go ahead and pass. I need them to tap out, essentially, is what I need them to do. I would like them to tap out so that I can unsummon Transcendent Envoy. Probably not going to happen. Sentinel's Eyes. Okay, so they exile cards from the graveyard. Resolve. Remove. Headphones. Okay, 8/9 with a Vigilance. If they don't tap out, I think I'm probably just going to lose, right? If they have another All That Glitters, do I die? Do I die? Another Outside of Life's Bounty. I resolve that because it doesn't kill me yet. This is not great. This deck has gas, man. This deck has gas. And we don't have enough interaction with them on board, so like the only thing I could have done differently, and maybe I should have, I've never played with Wavebreak Hippocamp, and I'm not super used to doing this. Okay, so they play that for 1, and I will die, I think. I think I lose, unless I counter this. I could quench. Okay, here's what I'm going to do, actually. I'm going to quench that spell and hope they pay the mana. I think they probably know what I'm up to here. So if I quench, I hope they pay the mana. Because if they pay the mana, then they can't sacrifice Outside of Life's Bounty to give this protection. Okay, so they'll let the counterspell go through. That's fine. Resolve. I still can potentially counter something with Thassa's Intervention. Okay, they shock in a land, which means, yeah, it's not great. Okay, pass 2 attackers. I think I've got to go for the unsummon, right? Like, I don't... Pass to blockers. I'm going to see if before damage they... Okay, they're not flashing anything in. If I unsummon, even... So they're going to sacrifice Outside of Life's Bounty, but The good news is, yeah, Karmatra's Blessing. Okay. Do I lose now? That goes to 11, 12. So I go to 2. Wow. Yikes. Or do they play? They just played again and I lose? Yeah, I'm dead. Good game. Wow, man. So 2 seasons of growth is pretty solid, you know? Pretty solid stuff that we couldn't counter early on because they went first. So I suppose I could have countered the 2nd season of growth. That would have slowed them down a touch, maybe enough. I think we have to mulligan this. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. I'm getting a lot of 2-land hands. Also doesn't feel good, but we can keep. I guess we can keep and bottom a forest. Thornwood falls first, which gives us opt next turn. Hopefully into some gas, maybe. Okay, Fervent Champion, so that 1 life we gained, he's gone. Okay, forest. So we pass. I can flash in Wildborn Preserver to block Fervent Champion. Assuming they don't play another Fervent Champion, which they definitely might. They definitely might. Okay, they're going to attack, which makes me a little suspicious. Like if I play Wildborn Preserver, they've obviously got a instant speed spell. Are they just going to shock Wildborn Preserver? But they also might have Rimrock Knight and be wanting to buff this up and kill Wildborn Preserver. But I think I take that risk, right? I think I take the risk and lose the trade because I have a bad starting hand. Okay, just shock. Okay, shock is fine. We expect shock and we actually block the damage from Fervent Champion because it doesn't have trample. And then another Fervent Champion. That's what they should have done in the first place. Yeah, that's what they definitely should have done. Okay, we'll go ahead and play Wavebreak Hippocamp. Which may just get shocked as well. Wouldn't be that surprising. Opponent, Monsieur Heaven's Cloud. Okay, Runaway Steamkin. Yep. We don't block this. We take the 4 damage, which feels a little bad. No blocks. I'm guessing they probably have no light up the stage. Okay, so let's pass. The problem. Okay, here's the deal. Like, I want to have counter spells up, but I also want to be able to trigger Wavebreak Hippocamp. So like, the only way I can do any of that is to get a blue mana source with opt now, and then I can unsummon something. This is just, we're not in a good spot here. I think I just passed turn. It feels really bad, but I do think I just passed. And I don't even attack because that leaves me too vulnerable, I think. And what's bad is they could be considering shocking this now on my turn. No, okay. I was a little scared they were going to shock that on my turn and I wouldn't be able to get the trigger off of Wavebreak Hippocamp. Okay, Runaway Steamkin. Resolve. So we're in combat now. Pass 2 attackers. I think I unsummon Runaway Steamkin here. That sets them back a little ways. Temple of Mystery is it's just not good enough because it comes in, it enters the battlefield tapped. Not great. So I guess I take another 4 damage here if I want to keep Wavebreak Hippocamp alive. No blocks. The ideal is getting an untapped land on my next turn so that I can just play Nightpack Ambusher. Okay, this is what we do here. We go Forest, pass the turn, which means we can play Nightpack Ambusher on their turn, which gives us actually like a lot to work with. We're on 12 life though, which isn't great. 12 life is never great. I mean, occasionally it's probably good. The bad news also is that... Ooh, Legion Warboss. Okay, resolve. Yeah, that's fine. I want to see how they attack here. Pass to combat. Resolve. Let's pass to attackers before we play Nightpack Ambusher. Okay. Yeah. Homeboy's in trouble here. Resolve all. We'll flash in Nightpack Ambusher. And then I'm going to actually trade these. So I'm going to trade Wavebreak Hippocamp and Runaway Steamkin. Let the token hit me and let one Fervent Champion hit me, but I want to trade Fervent Champion here. I want to kill that, and I can't kill it with Wavebreak Hippocamp, so there you go. Let's go Temple of Mystery. Wildborn Preserver is not good enough. We need... it could be okay, actually. I'm just going to say done. And then... I think I have to pass, though. So I make a token, but having another Nightpack Ambusher on their turn is really, really, really great, because that gives me a huge defense and makes my wolf tokens 4/4s. It makes my wolves 5/5. So because they buff each other. Okay. Pass to attackers. See what they do. They're attacking with everything, which makes me think they've got Embercleave. Resolve that. They're going to pass to blockers before I do anything. So we'll go Nightpack Ambusher. We'll block there, and we'll block... Wait a second. We'll block there and there. That means even if they have Embercleave, we're good. Infuriate. Okay, they have Infuriate. Oh, double Infuriate actually kills me. Wow. Wow. Oh, okay. Sick, dude. We freaking had it, too. We had it. We were so good. We were fine. Man, three combat tricks. That'll do it. We had a really bad start, though, and, like, I feel kind of okay with the outcome of that. Like, it wasn't terrible. So let's get into another game. See if we can win. Oh my lord. Okay. 3-land hand, but only blue mana sources. But the deal is, our first plays are gonna be blue anyway. Like, we want to opt turn 1 to try to get that green mana source. So I'm tempted to keep. I think I keep here. I'd rather keep than mulligan down and end up probably getting a 2-land hand. So Arboreal Grazer, into Breeding Pool, sick. I'll pass, see what they do. I'm gonna opt, but just keep them on their toes, you know? Keep them on their toes. Risen Reef, not surprising when they're ramping. Nope. Can I get a forest? Nope. Okay. Sick, dude. We like that, baby. Yes, we love it when they've got all the ramp. Okay, Simple and Mystery. Forest is great. We need a forest. We'll keep that on top. Like, obviously, we're kind of flooding, but not like... We just need green mana source. We got to fix our mana, so we're getting there. We're getting there. Just not great. And they already can play Nissa, who shakes the world right now, if they have her in their hand. So that's good. That's really good. Hydroid Crisis. Okay. Equally annoying. Not equally annoying, but it's also good play. So, okay, Forest. Not Forest. That's an island. We'll pass. So we have a Quench. If they play Nissa, we can quench it, which it feels good. So we'll take the 3. Okay. Do I Wildborn Preserver? I think I flash in Wildborn Preserver to block Risen Reef. That feels like a trade that we make. We go to 16, which is fine. I don't think they would play Nissa after combat though. Like if they had her, they wouldn't wait till after combat. They do, on the other hand, have another Hydroid Crisis, so that's great. That's cool, 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 cool. Okay, whatever. Things could be worse. In fact, they have been worse. Things have been worse before. Okay, Growth Spiral, Resolve. We don't care about that. Ideally here, we're going to get Nightpack Ambusher. But they do have 5 lands, 5 mana up. Growth Spiral again, okay. So it looks like they just drew a ton of lands this game, which is, it does happen when you're playing probably a deck with like 27 lands. Okay, I could flash in Brazen Borrower, but I need to get some, I need to like gas things up, you know? 7 damage is a lot of damage. And that means, what does that mean? It means, I think we go Nightpack because Brazen Borrower is better for us next turn. Decline that. Still no blocks. But we can turn Wildborn Preserver into a solid blocker, like, next turn. Okay, another Preserver. So let's attack with Nightpack Ambusher. I'm assuming they just don't block. Yep. And then, in turn, I would think I paid 3. Yeah, I'm going to pay 3 because I need it to be strong enough to dissuade them from attacking with Hydroid Crises. And it gives me Quench. Which, if they play Nissa here, if they play anything that's like under... Okay. I'm going to block there. I'm not going to block the 3-1. Okay. Do they just have another Hydroid Crisis? They're just going to blast it for 9 mana? They might. I mean, that would, even if I counter it, that still refills their hand and gains them life. So neither of these are good. Yeah, Hydroid Crisis for 7. We quench it. But they still draw 3 cards and gain 3 life. But we're actually in like an okay place. We only have 6 life, but we're in like a halfway decent place. How many lands are in your deck, homie? That's ridiculous. Okay, so we'll attack with these 2. We got to keep Wildborn Preserver back as a blocker. Okay, we're getting somewhere with this. I think I just end turn. I let this come in, and I think I declined. I don't pay anything. We're good as blocking here. Fine with that. Finale of Devastation. We will counter the doo-doo out of that. Thank the Lord we have a counterspell. And we'll pay X1 because they don't have any mana left to do anything with anyway. Yes, we want to counter that. Okay, we were this close to losing to Finale. But now we're gonna just attack, attack, attack. Let's see. I kind of think Yeah, we'll keep Wildborn Preserver back. I feel like they probably block these anyway, right? That's 6, 10, 13 damage. So it's not lethal, but it's close. The biggest issue we have is that we do have Thassa's Intervention. We have a counterspell. It's not... We're going to decline. It's not an ideal counterspell. But if they try to do a Finale of Devastation where X equals 10, we can counter it and then we win. So we're good. We're good. We really just have to survive this turn, and then we're golden. Yep, there it is. Finale of Devastation for 10, and then we counter target spell unless the controller pays twice X. We'll just do 1, right? We do 1, counter it, auto pay. You dead. For a second, I got real scared right there that I had forgotten that like they have a mana thing, but they don't. So we win. Finally, we won a game. Yes, heck yeah. Okay, that one doesn't feel great. It feels good because we were able to counter the spells that mattered in the end, but it felt bad because we started bad. And I think my biggest issue with this deck, My biggest issue with this deck is that the mana is not consistent. We don't have enough dual colored mana. We don't have shock lands to make it work really well. And like, look, crap like this. I mean, come on. I can't keep this hand. It's been like this all day. Okay, we'll keep. I'm actually gonna bottom a Brineborne Cutthroat. Okay. Let's see what we got here. An opt. I can island opt instead of playing Fabled Passage, but I could also Fabled Passage. I think I do that. I think I Fabled Passage. I pass. Temple of Epiphany. If we see another blue or red mana source, we should probably expect burn. Okay, they shock that in, which is a little scary. Okay, so let's do this. Forest. Okay, still no land. Great. So what we probably want to do is, obviously we're holding Quench for spells that we don't like. Bone Crusher Giant. Okay, so here's the deal. I could quench this, and I think I do quench it because it effectively counters 2 spells, because if I take the damage, then they can just cast Bone Crusher Giant for 3 next turn, and I'm probably going to want to quench that anyway, so I think I quench this. I quench it now. The bad news is that if they have Ironcrag Pyromancer on this turn, I can't counter it, and yeah. Okay, so it is Jeskai, so Teferi Time Raveler, so that feels really bad.
Here we go.
So we should go Brineborne Cutthroat. So our flash spells don't do anything for us because Teferi is a straight up counter to our deck. They concealed they were playing Jeskai. It looked like they were playing blue-red burn, and now that I know they're playing Teferi, we may just be done. Like, yeah, I guess good on them for concealing that when they had the chance to. So, Fire's Invention. Okay, cool. Then they probably bounce Brineborne Cutthroat, if I had to guess. Maybe they don't. Probably do though. Yeah, they bounce that.
Done the hero thing.
Just Fire's Invention. So this is Jeskai Fires. Fave Wishes, Ooh, I like that alternate art on Fave Wishes. That's cool. Can you even see that? No, you can't. My head's in the way. Sorry. Okay. We need to go. I think we had to play both of these just because they can destroy one. So we gotta get rid of Teferi. Did you already use your ability? Why does he have 2? Shouldn't he have 1? Am I wrong about that? Shouldn't he have 1? Okay, destroys. That's actually pretty good for us. Cavalier Flame, huh? That's bad. Either they're gonna hold the Cavalier as a blocker, or we're about to take a crap load of damage. So the bad thing is, we didn't have enough counterspells early to actually stop them from doing the stuff we didn't want them to. Okay, so what we're gonna do is unsummon Cavalier Flame. Alright, Vicious with a dumb spelling. You like to use your emotes, my guy. Okay, now we go to combat. I will kill Nicobolus. That's pretty important. And I'm going to go ahead and opt, because we can't do anything on their turn. I got to bottom the forest, because it doesn't really do anything for me. Hey, look, another forest. Yeah, baby. Gotta love that, huh? Gotta love that. Kind of think we just lose here.
Let's try this.
We don't really do well against this deck unless we can sideboard, because they've got Teferi. We can't deal with Teferi, so it's bad news. Real bad news. Yep, and they've got blockers, so okay. How much damage can they do? Can they kill me? No, they can't kill me. They can do a lot of damage, though. Yeah. Cool. Let's. I shouldn't have played that forest first. Dang it. Oh well. We'll opt anyway. Brineborne Cutthroat is a no-go. So, yeah, I mean, I lose, right? We can't do anything. That's a concede. Well, okay. Cool. Bummer. That's definitely, like, the biggest issue I have with playing Simic Flash is it's not great in Best of 1. It's actually pretty bad in Best of 1. Just because when you're playing counterspells, you really want to know what you're going up against. Let's check out the deck. When you're playing a bunch of counterspells, you kind of got to know what you're going up against. That's why control decks don't do very well in Best of 1, or occasionally they do well in Best of 1. Like Azorius Control, I think, is good, because it's just like, we want to counter everything until we get to late game. Fine. But we can just get hard countered by a matchup. Like, Jeskai Fires, if they get Teferi in, we're done. You know, and people are able to sneak in, like, things onto the board that we can't deal with, we're done, right? So we have to have, like, we really want to be able to sideboard in things like negates, shifting Ceratops. If we're playing things that have counterspells, we want to have ways to not get countered. We want to have counterspells that can respond to early plays that really screw us. Like, Teferi screws us over. Honestly, like, I'm trying to think of what matchup did we do really badly against? I don't remember. Mono red, we actually, like, we can be okay against, but we have to have a really good start. So it's just tough. And also, like, we definitely had a lot of mana issues. Like, we're running, how many lands are in this, right? 24 lands. So this is 16. 16 of them are basics, which is just not very good, right? You don't really want to have 16 basic lands in a competitive deck, unless you're a mono-colored deck. We really want to have more dual-colored lands than this, but we don't. So that's a bit of a bummer. That kind of screwed us in some games. But this deck actually kind of underperformed. I was hoping it would be better than this, and it just wasn't. But I don't know. It has potential. I do want to know what you guys think of this deck in the comments below. As always, I do like to hear your input. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. And if you want to see the rest of this series, find those and or subscribe to my channel so you see when they are posted. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.